right, we should be live right now.
MUME talk, baby. We are back.
Oh, where's my camera here? Pop that back up. Now we're good. There we go. You can see me. Hopefully people can hear me. Let's check the chat.
There you go.
Audio
Looking good, dude. Looking good.
Awesome. Oh, let me get this up here so that we can see who's talking. Where's the Discord thing? There we go. Awesome. Well, great. Here we are. MUME Talk. I have no idea what number this is at this point. So it's in the 20s or 30s or something.
It's season 2, episode 1, baby.
Exactly. And today, we've got special guest, the implementer himself, MANWE.
Starting off strong, baby.
Exactly. Yeah, MANWE, you want to say hi?
Say hello, yeah.
Hi everyone.
We got him.
Exactly, man. We've been trying to get you on for a while. Mostly by fault. We've been playing this like back and forth phone tag where like I'll message you like, "Are we doing it today?" And you're like, "No, not today." And then you'll message me like, "Are we doing it today?" I'm like, "No, not today." And
We were very bad at dating.
yeah, we're pretty. It's been we had a lot of sexual tension, back and forth, taking it slow. But yeah, we finally got you on here today. Looks like we already got several folks in the chat here. So right off the bat, what's your name outside of MUME, MANWE?
If you want to.
We're not trying to dox you here.
What is your very taxpayer?
What's your address?
PIN number? Yeah. No, whatever.
My name is Pierre Donini.
Okay, gotcha. And
I'm French and Italian, by the way.
You're in the Europe area, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I'm in Switzerland. I'm in Switzerland, in Lausanne. I'm living in an apartment that's just like 1 kilometer where MUME was born.
Oh. No way, really?
Wow.
Coming back to the source. Wait, so you started in Switzerland? For some reason, I thought it was. So it started in Switzerland, huh?
Yep, it started in Switzerland at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology.
Okay.
In 1990 something, September, I think October, something like that.
Okay. And were you? So I'm relatively new compared to some of the old players here we got here. Could you walk us through a little bit? Like, so was this like a university project that you used to start this, or?
No, we were very lazy students at the time.
Oh.
And we were playing a game that was called SageNet, and that was in Sweden, not Switzerland, Sweden.
Okay.
And then for some reason, and that's where it was not Tolkien based. It was there are orcs, but they also had fairies. They had a lot of things. But we like the game, and we like to progress and and that's why we learn about multi-user dungeons. And suddenly the game was shut out because it was hosted at university, and suddenly the game was shut out from the. Oh, we're going down, and there was a lot of people were distressed about the loss of this game. So Philippe, with Arrow Illuvatar, started to have an idea of bringing back SageNet refugees to a new game. And that's how we started MUME.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Wow, I've never heard that.
What made you want to make it a Lord of the Rings game?
Oh, because I've been a Tolkien fan since I was 13, and I read everything that's to be read. And I always cringe when I see Peter Jackson's movies, but it's not.
A true purist, a diehard purist. Yeah. So I'm curious, did you have a very strong vision from the very beginning? Like, did you have kind of strong
actually we had, because I've been playing role-playing games since ever. And there was one role-playing game I liked a lot, was called Chivalry and Sorcery. It was a very complex system of magic and of fire, melee combat and stuff like that. And that was on my side, so that was what I wanted to bring. And Philippe Heroux wanted to have something very where people could have fun. It was not very true to Tolkien for in that sense, but we decided that the first room of MUME would be the Prancing Pony Inn,
Mm-hmm.
and room 1001, if I remember well. And that's how it started. And then we had another friend that joined us but left quickly after. But I had the idea of making a map of MUME that was true to the distances of
Aha.
Tolkien. So I remember scanning a lot of. I don't know if you know this game. Multi-use. No, wait, what's his name? MERP, Middle Earth role-playing game,
Mm.
and they had a lot of maps of Tolkien areas of Middle Earth, and so I scanned them, and then I made a program to cut it into little pieces, and I think it's one is still used today to make the new zones.
Okay. Oh.
And so where this is my like biggest question. Where where did the idea and the quality of the descriptions come from, right? Because I feel like 1,000 years from now, there will still not have been another game that just has that the incredibly high commitment to a really carefully craft linguistically, like just a carefully
They're done
descriptively
super
okay.
well.
I must not take credit for that because
Oh,
English is not my native tongue. But from the very beginning, we had a lot of dedicated players from UK, from US, from Sweden, Norway, that were very proficient in English, and they were fans of. It came very easily that people would write descriptions of what they read in the books, and in the style of the books, and that's why it started. And yeah,
So
it's been always amazing.
so you mentioned that you had a bunch of players from or that were pretty proficient in English, and you had Eru in there. How did you get these like initial players? How did you go from like zero, like this is my idea, to we've got a couple players now?
Because of SageNet, the game I was talking before. So as soon as we knew that we had something, it was not very big. We had like two zones and one dragon, one green dragon sitting in the
Mm-hmm.
middle, breeze center square, and that we had to kill every moment because it was respawning at every reboot. And we had a lot of reboots, and we learned to program at the same time on the game,
Mm-hmm.
and. Um, and what was the question again?
Oh yeah, basically like how did you get your initial set of players
Ah,
to
yeah,
start
yeah.
out building?
Because so as soon as we had a running game, we contacted the SessionNet players, the SessionNet refugees that we had, and they formed our first base of players, and then we at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology we talked about our game, and people were saying, "What the fuck are you doing on a computer at 3 a.m. in the morning?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Join us, you see,
As all great projects start.
it will be fun." And that's how it started. And then it was 1 year later, I think. Nada, whose real name is David Gay, and is working now at Google. He made the programming language model for the
Mm.
game. We could have online extensions, and then at the very beginning was we met online people like Ilie, like Dain,
Mm-hmm.
uh, still there, like Fror, and these people helped us to build the game, but not at the programming level originally. Now, yes, but that's how it started.
Wow. And oh, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I was just gonna. So, what was? Uh, so I know at the time there were a few existing code bases, and you all selected to start with the Diku and to build off of Diku. What was the reason for starting with the Diku, or was it just because it was there and it was something you could start hacking on and start extending?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened because we have no knowledge of programming. I was at that time a computer science student, but my programming skill in C were very low, and we learned all of programming through the game, and we started with the Decumad source because it was available, and we knew that SageNet was built on Decumad too. So the first thing we try to do is to reproduce the features we saw on SageNet, like shout, like global chat, tell, stuff like that. That didn't exist in original Dickymat. The original Dickymat was very very poor, but it worked. We have a connection, and then everything has been rewritten since. There's no part left of Dickymat, but since we started with it, that's why we still give the credits in the login screen.
Gotcha. And for these like original players, you're talking about like Dane Four and Naga and all these like OG contributors here. Was it just kind of like people just showed up and they're like, "Hey, I have an idea," like, and you just put it in there, or like what? Like was just everyone building the game at that time?
No, not everyone was building it. So at the beginning, Philip started the game, and then I took over because he left, and so I was the.
Philip's
I
Eru,
was
you said?
Sorry?
You said Philip is Eru?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then I was the guardian of the consistency of the game, of the beat on the geographical level or the gameplay level. And for instance, I took a lot of attention of in putting fight system and magic system that would work and would imbalance too much. For instance, that's why we didn't build Bree and then Mordor. We wanted to expand from where we were to build every room, every zone until we get to Mordor, and we have not been there yet.
It's a slow.
I love the ambition. Let's build every 10 miles. Yeah, the whole way.
Yeah, but now we go to the gray heavens. We go to south to
Tip of Rohan.
Rohan, yeah, and on the east we have some rooms was on the middle Mirkwood, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. Where did the difficulty come from? Or who put their foot down and said, "We want to make this game.
We want to make our players cry." What happened?
Because I remember. I mean, I think I played MUME for the first time like kind of in the mid '90s, but and I tried a few other mods, and MUME was the craftsmanship was way beyond other mods, but also the difficulty was as well. So I'm curious, was it? That just like was the level you guys wanted, or how did?
Yeah. That it was. We didn't want an easy game. Yeah, we want a rewarding game.
Well, you succeeded.
Success.
And for instance, the idea of trolls came from someone we haven't mentioned, Cry Havoc, Claude Anderby, who had this idea of making. You die, you start back from level 0, and that was very strange as an idea because every time we die in MUME, we restart, but not losing too much. But for instance, I made a system that made people lose levels when they were dying, and depending how it died. And then the other huge addition was also Cryavoc's idea, was to have a battle between the dark side and the light side, and the war points and everything that came in something like 93, 94, something like that.
Okay. So yeah. So then, what exactly was the core gameplay in the beginning? Was it because if there was no war happening, was it just kind of going out and killing?
Yeah, it was.
Killing brown bears.
Yeah.
I played a lot. I coded and I played a lot my game, and I remember going to the old tree, getting lost in the maze, and going south. There were brigands, and when you're playing this, you're scared of every move you're doing and
Right.
what's happening. Yeah,
A sense of dread. Am I going to get lost? Am I going to die? Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
people who play in the modern mapper era don't realize how completely terrifying the game was in the 90s.
Oh,
I mean,
you have to know that I was completely against having maps of MUME made and made public. Everyone had to learn the hard way how to connect to rooms and how to go from Bree to Rivendell, for instance, and then was when mmapper was issued like 5, 10 years ago.
oh, yeah, a little bit longer, but yeah, I think so. Maybe 15, but yeah.
Yeah, and then I played the game with mmapper. So okay, that's fine. Yeah,
This is
okay,
pretty nice, actually.
but it's
I,
you know at the beginning people were going to we had death traps, so you enter a wrong room and you were dead. It was over, your equipment was gone, and it was you had to be careful to read every description. Now with a mapper and stuff like that, you know, oh, this is a death trap, so don't go there, and that's easy. And the funny thing happened when we were putting the war between the darkies and the whiteys, and then you would every time you would see someone with stars, say, "Oh fuck, I have to run away," and you will end in a death trap.
Yeah, I remember doing that several times. Several times. That one in Lord, by the way, every single time to go 3 down instead of 2.
How long have you been playing the game, guys?
Um,
I
Go
I
ahead.
found the game via Mud Connector, I think around 96, 97, but
Oh,
always like on a pretty slow American connection. A much, I think those of us who started playing in the States in the 90s had a kind of a very different experience compared to like Euro players. But yeah, so I've been around a long time. Nick, what about you?
I started playing around 2002 or so. I think Lorien had it was either just come out or was about to come out. I remember also I didn't MUME was my first mud, and it's the only mud I've continued to play, and I didn't have a mud client, and I was playing on I had an old Windows 95 computer. I was playing on the built-in Windows 95 client using some janky scripts to make it speak with the screen reader, make it read out the text to me. And I remember spending 6 hours walking from Bree to Grey Havens, reading every description because I am dying to that wolf multiple times.
I started in 2008. I was in high school, and a friend introduced it to me. Cry Havoc had introduced it to him. And he was a troll player, and I just remember he would be telling me all these stories all the time, and I wouldn't know what's going on, but he's like, yeah, we were in this fight with like all these dwarves, and I was a troll, and I killed it, and I ate it, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta try this game. But yeah, so only, I guess I'm the newbie here, but 2008.
yeah. Okay.
Um,
And you're still playing now?
Off and on, off and on. I think all of us kind of check in from time to time. Um,
Yeah, the demands of the podcasting career really eat up our time. But no, we play some. We have we like stuff like I have a little kid, so I don't get a ton of keyboard time. But I still, I think so many of us we like we think about the game and we check the sites and we check the Discord and we like keep an awareness of what's going on, even if we don't play. I know, like I'm always jealous of the people who just completely disconnect from the game. Because me, even if I don't play for years at a time, I'm still like checking in, seeing what's going on, checking the news, seeing, you know, hoping other new zones out. You know, I'm always still checking in. Yeah.
Yeah,
But what
well,
about? Go
that's
ahead.
beautiful. The game is still on, and people are still contributing. Now it's for first sake, people are playing a text-based game in 2023. It's amazing. It's okay. We have not a lot of players right now, but still, it's iconic. And now, you know where the game is hosted right now?
Where it's hosted?
Yeah,
Actually, I don't know that.
We don't know. Yeah.
I
it's
do, but
it's hosted at the university where I teach.
Oh yeah, wait, I did know that. I did know that. So do
It's
you ever
called
like check on the server every once in a while? Just like,
it's called HGVD in French, which is a high school of University of Applied Science in the north in West Switzerland. West Switzerland. It's just 35 kilometers away from where MUME was born. We had a time where we were in Norway, and when they came back, and now we're there. Until when, I don't know, but until I'm working there, it would be there.
Is it run on a VPS, or is it run on a? I know when it was on in Norway, it was run on a dedicated server, or is it still run on dedicated, or is it running on a VPS these days?
It's running on a VM right now.
Nice.
are you surprised that it's still kicking along this many years later?
Obviously, yes. For me, it's amazing that people still love this game and they still connect to the game. I connect less than I used to do, but it's.
Your girlfriend thinks you're such a geek.
And my girlfriend seems such a geek, but she's very impressed with what I've done.
Has she ever played MUME?
Well, that's the big
Oh,
question.
by the way, some private news about me. My girlfriend is Kiwi, so now we next winter we're going to New Zealand, and we'll watch some of the places that look a lot
Nice.
like
Ooh,
Nice.
Oh wow!
I'm jealous.
A lot of lag. You won't be able to PK much. In
Yeah.
The game. It'll be very.
the lag would be horrible for New
Yeah.
Zealand, but.
But so, MANWE, when was the last time you remember logging in playing Mortal?
2 years ago. 2 years
Oh,
ago.
Oh, that's pretty recent.
Yeah. 2 years ago, I logged in. During we had a pandemic. You remember the pandemic?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I heard about it.
Which
So,
one? Oh, COVID. That one. Yeah.
So I logged in. I made a new character, and one in the areas of where I was, southeast. A Fangor, no, south of Fangor.
Lori.
Yeah,
You just
I was
messing
killed
around.
by birds, and there was nobody. I was there was no black name Bien.
Did you have a moment of like, crap, this game is hard? I forgot how.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's too hard.
When I used to play a lot, because I have a character that's maybe level 44, 45, something like that, and the goal was to have the skin. I forgot what's his name. The skin that the hide. The hide is it still
The worm
still
hide?
oh yeah, the worm hide is still a thing.
Yeah,
No,
it's
no,
still in the game.
it no longer loads in the game, like on a mob, but there's a mechanism for the game where if you give Sage, you go to B in Sage, if you give him various things like artifacts from the light side, he can very rarely give it out. So
It's
I
like
would
a
say it's
1%
perhaps the
chance.
most rare piece of non-artifact equipment in the game. I mean, you see it every once in a
Yeah,
while, but it's
I
just
agree
very
with
rare.
that.
And Necromancer, not the real one, the one that used to be in Moria, or around Moria, is still there and still gives the dagger.
He is. He's still
Yes.
Yes.
there. Yep, Sage. Yep.
Hmm.
We call him Sage these days. Yeah, but he's still there. Yep.
Sage. He's not a sage. He was a.
We gotta
Well,
go.
the mob
Man,
is
he's coming
We gotta
back to
called
log
fix
in and
things.
edit. We gotta log in and edit. Yeah. But
I remember the last time I think I seriously played. I went with a party in Moria, and the Balrog was just released, and we were stormed in like 12 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, that guy's no joke.
Yeah.
Actually, we had a question from chat here from Nazgum. And he's asking, so you came back to MUME after a long period and added the spell Call Familiar. It's one of his favorite spells, and he's got it like on all of his characters. And he wanted to know, A, why did you return to add this spell, and B, what kind of improvements or enhancements would you like to see with that spell or maybe other spells?
Oh, spells. I could speak about spells. Spells are always been my favorite part of the game. I always wanted to make interesting spells that would be useful. And why did I call familiar? Because I don't know. There was Dungeons and Dragons. You have a core familiar spell that was there, and I think I like the idea of having something able to explore for you, and that's what triggered the idea.
Okay, okay. Is that one of the most recent spells to be added? Because there has not been a lot of change in spells in over a
yeah,
decade.
that's something I'd love to get your thoughts on. Is if you go look in the, it's fascinating for me to look at the on the god boards, and you go back to the 90s, and I found some of your old posts, and they're just like quite vigorous, quite active and bold debate, like, oh, we should do this, we should do this. And I remember I found one thread, or I'm sure it's ancient days, I'm sure you don't remember it, but I found one thread, Manway, where you were like preparing, or sorry, uh, suggesting pretty radical new spell system, a pretty radical new magic system, like kind of a complete overhaul of the game. And just bouncing ideas back and forth. But I do remember in the 90s a sense of pretty radical change of a lot of like this topics being up for debate and actively considering things that would very dramatically change the game. And then at some point, this is my impression, feel free to disagree, but it seems to be at some point in the early 2000s, um, the game kind of shifted to a much more conservative mode. Maybe this was not intentional, maybe it was just purely it happened. But to me there was a kind of a profound distinction between the really, really kind of active, bold changes in the 90s, and then kind of the game kind of settled into um, the general shape it is, the general shape of the early 2000s, which is honestly kind of what we still have today. So it's been relatively stable the past 15, 20 years. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you agree or disagree, or any kind of insights about sort of how the
I do
game?
agree. I do agree. When you have to remember that when I started in MUME, I was like 22 or 23. And so I had a lot of energy, and I could not sleep and code every night, and have new ideas every day. And something that I never liked in the decumats system was the classes. I
Hmm.
didn't like classes. I didn't like you. Oh, you're a wizard, so you cannot wear armor. And so that's what I changed, yeah, around that 95, 97, with the realms, where you have, depending on your practice, what you're more mage, you're more this and that. And then we found some equilibrium and with the game, everyone, even if everyone was, oh, you just kill the trolls, you just kill the elves, you just kill the hobbits, you just every time we made a change, people were complaining,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's still going strong.
That doesn't change.
That part of the community is still thriving. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and and my response was always, okay, I'm making this game, so you're not paying for it.
Yeah. I do what I
And
want.
but still, I don't know if it's been more conservative, but I think it's more and more difficult to add something to an existing system without breaking everything. And
Mm.
so you could say, okay, we have the Palantiris, and you can watch somewhere else, but then it could impact a lot of game war. We had the teleport spell was nerfed many times because it was too powerful. So it's a question of balance, and people who are coding this game nowadays are very interested into keeping some kind of realism, so it doesn't break everything.
Mm. Mm. But doesn't
And
that, that
I wonder what a guy, 15 years guy, 20 years guy, comes into a mud and say, oh, what the fuck? I have to type things to make actions.
Mhm.
Would like or not like? I don't know if
Well, we know one thing that's interesting. We know is, the kind of like as gaming gets bigger and bigger and bigger, there's literally billions of gamers, right? Even if it's only a very, very small percent who would kind of be open to a text-based game, that small portion of the population is still growing as the overall population grows. But there's some interesting things happening, right? So there's a game. Have you ever heard of a game called Dwarf Fortress? Are you familiar
Yeah,
with it?
I read about it
Yeah,
like last year. I
Mhm.
never played the game,
but
but
it's go
it's
ahead.
one guy did everything.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's I mean I think they've added a lot of graphics now, but it still has a text origin. You type. It's similar to our game in that it's sort of the organic complexity is just irreducible. Like I've been playing me for 25 years and you still find new things. You still like there's
You,
still
you played,
certain
you played
questions.
it? You played it?
A little bit. Yeah, I played it a little bit. Yeah. But so we kind of thought it's like, man, if there's a million people playing Dwarf Fortress, there's got to be 10,000 of them that we could get into our game. So we do I think definitely the average or the median player, the typical, so-called typical video game player moves further and further away from MUME, but I don't think that necessarily means uh that there's not people out there who I think would be intrigued if we could just reach them. But I'm convinced the sad reality is we're just kind of in our own little satellite. We're kind of in our own little bubble, and we're not very well connected to the internet, and we don't have very good organic growth channels or organic channels for people to discover us. So we're sort of drifting away in outer space. But I think those of us, here on the podcast, we're still optimistic. There's people out there who would find the game interesting. I mean, there's so many amazing, unique things about it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, no.
Oh, I was gonna piggyback on that, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, which is that there actually, yeah, like Mike said, there's a huge market out there for text-based games right now. But perhaps one of the big differentiating factors of MUME now versus MUME when you started it is when you started it, it was in competition with, you said, what was the name of that mud? Um,
Sejnet.
Sejnet, and that was it sounds like a pretty popular game at the time, and you were kind of mirroring it and improving on it and moving on. Whereas with the lack of change with MUME recently, where it's been very static. maybe it hasn't, not from a text-based perspective, but maybe from just a mechanics perspective, it hasn't really caught up. Like, what if the fighting system or the spell system or whatever just the gameplays wise isn't as good as modern games, and that's because we haven't been innovating as much. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree, but I think that our biggest problem is that we're not visual. And for instance, my daughter, who's 22, just I haven't seen her for 2 days because the new Zelda is on.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't
So let me ask,
know
if I
if
could
we.
ask,
Yeah, sure.
if I could ask you, so what do you? There's sort of there's a spectrum of thought, right? There's one end of the spectrum is Mume's an incredible game crafted predominantly in the 90s. The game in the 90s achieved certain like really high levels of development and quality in the 90s. And now what we should do is sort of enjoy that legacy game. It's almost like a retro. Enjoy that retro game, right? Enjoy it
Yeah.
while we still have it. The other end of the spectrum is the core elements of the game are great, but could the game, the game could possibly be changed for growth or for to make it more dynamic or to reinvigorate existing players, whatever reason. So it's we could still preserve the magic but also make drastic changes. So sort of the spectrum there between the retro, the retro preservation on one side and sort of the dynamic keep changing on the other side. Where do you sort of personally land in that, on your viewpoint for the game?
I think we should do that. Every time I have a bit of an energy to go back to the MUME to check what has been going on, I want to, I could do this, I could add this, but it's kind of a selfish pleasure to say I could change the dynamic a bit like this, like that. But it's interesting to see that people are still interested and want to change. So maybe tomorrow, I want to give MUME to people who made it. So it's now it's not open source. It's not an open source project, but it's something that many people share. And the day I'm not able to maintain it anymore, I will give it to others to hope that someone sometimes maybe 30 years from now will launch a MUME and explore the area and say, oh, that was fantastic. So if it's kind of legacy like that, I'm happy.
So
Uh,
you want the essence of the game to endure, and you're open to it changing and evolving. Um,
Yeah, it has. It has. For instance, we talked about before, I was completely against maps, and now it's normal, and
right.
we have to adapt. And but not because we're fearing to lose profit because they have none. Nobody ever made any penny with MUME, but just because we want to keep it true to the spirit. For instance, one thing I would be very against is if you could instantly go with eagles from Bree to Mordor and drop the ring, which stuff like that. So as long we are true to the magic we all read in the books, it's okay.
Gotcha. The spirit of the books.
Yeah, the spirit.
I actually have seen, just in the last year, I've seen a few changes which I would sort of consider sort of low level, big changes that I never thought I'd see, which are wonderful. One being the addition of GMCP, so that client developers uh, can extend their clients and create setups for people to especially for new players but old players alike to extend their clients to give them more functionality and be more reliable. I think the other thing that was very recently added were the um, obfuscated room numbers, basically the unique room IDs for most rooms, excluding randoms, of course. I thought that was amazing. Like I know me and a few other
So now
people have been running that for a while.
the room numbers are disclosed.
No, but they're not the actual zone numbers, but it's like a
opaque identifier.
I don't know if,
it's an opaque.
Yeah, it's some sort of checksum or something. There's a unique identifier for
Okay.
for a not
But not for randoms.
not for randoms,
not for random.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it was like
it
the game. Did the game get easier in any way? No. The game did not get easier. Don't worry.
I don't know that.
But it simply means that, like, for example, it'll make whereas you would have to rely more on heuristics in things like mappers to keep you in sync. It'll mean that eventually, once everyone maps all the room numbers, that it'll stay in sync better in most non-random rooms. Like it's a really incredible change that'll on the client side help quite a lot.
And does it attract new players?
That remains to be seen. I mean,
Not yet.
It's so new. It was just added like last month.
I think a sad comment to make, which brings me no joy to make, but through the context of the podcast here over the past year, we've done a lot of kind of a historical, anthropological kind of study and analyzing.
Anthropological.
Yeah, I went back. I read all the historical news posts. It's fun. We study. It's a fascinating little world. But the sad conclusion from that research, at least for me, was that MUMEs, there's basically zero organic growth. We know that every week maybe 50 to 100 people click through on the account flow. At least those are the opaque stats we have. But 95% or greater of those play it's single digit minutes and then never are seen again. And we don't know exactly what the story is there, like what those accounts are or how serious those players are. But I think the sad comment is we don't like. And so the podcast, we've been able to, we hope, or at least we modestly hope we've been able to energize people to play the game a little bit, but overwhelmingly it's been old players coming back.
Yeah.
So we're only I personally am only aware of 2 or 3 new players in the past 5 years who 5 years ago had zero knowledge of MUME and now are proficient, fun, experienced players. We're talking best case single digits here. So,
but at the same time, it's not a big problem. I mean, okay, I'm logged into MUME right now, and we have 20 players on, which is not much. We had a max of 500, but it's okay. It's I think MUME is iconic as this genre, and if people can enjoy it and have a nostalgia, say, "Oh, I want to see Bilbert and Tom and get the swords," it's nice, and
absolutely,
it's okay. And people are still making zones right now, so people are dedicated to that. So it happens. And maybe when I'm very old, and I will go back to MUME and have a play on my own with nobody on. Mm-hmm. But I don't care. It's a part of internet's history, like NetHack. Mm-hmm. I played NetHack a lot. Recently, actually, managed to finish the game for the first time, and because you say MUME is hard, but NetHack doesn't give you any chance to leave if you make a mistake. So Yeah, it's a sort of sadness because things have changed. But at the same time, we should be all be happy that we planted the roots for other games. For instance, in the 2000, early 2000, people from World of Warcraft
Mm-hmm.
came to MUME and logged in and asked about the war, how we would deal with that. And I had an interview to say, speak how we make the balance work. And so it's a legacy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think one of the things that you said in the very beginning of the podcast, I really stood out to me was that you built the game to have fun. You know, you didn't just build it to be a Lord of the Rings game because you love Tolkien that much, which was part of it. But the very first thing you said is you just wanted to have a fun game, which I think at its core is like the most important thing. You know, making sure that it's fun for players.
Yeah, but I want to since we wanted all of were dedicated to Tolkien. We wanted to be true. So, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, we wouldn't have some spells that wouldn't match with the Tolkien universe.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have some that will actually, if you read Lord of the Rings, you don't have many spells uttered except in Peter Jackson movies. But aside that, it's yeah, it's we wanted a game where people could collaborate. One of the very first additions we did is was the Legend Homes, when people could build their own areas. That was very funny to have to see how people would make their own place, and then we open other Ainur to make new zones. That was not easy at the beginning because at the beginning we were the rulers of the world, and now we gave some other people the possibility to extend the universe,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. So that actually is an interesting point here. Currently, the production process of MUME is I think probably much like you set it up, where you know you have to go through a fairly decent ordeal slash vetting process in order to start building your own stuff, or to help build the game. Um, have you ever put any thought into making it kind of more open source, where you're just kind of like you got people building more extensive like mini zones, and you don't need any special you don't need to go through the ISTAR process and then get a test zone or anything. You just like, all right, here's 10 rooms and we're gonna put them in the game, kind of a thing. Have you ever thought about that? Or
I think we tried that to have a test zones for Maya cartographers. They could build a test zone,
mm-hmm.
and it was good enough. It was added into the game, but actually, there's no enough people to so to make the thing happen,
Mm-hmm.
and to review. The reviewing process was very long.
Mm-hmm.
As about your
Still
second
is.
question. Yeah, as you can, the question making open source.
But just kind of more like yeah, just allowing people just kind of contribute to the game more directly.
Yeah, we're doing that because the actual coders right now are not people I know.
Mm-hmm.
I've never met anyone except Tinkerbell and a few others, but I didn't meet a lot of people on in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But we trust them because we chatted a lot, and they share the same views.
Mm-hmm.
It's more cooptation. That's an English word, cooptation. So you see, oh, you share the same view that I do, so you can come aboard and start to code the system.
Mm-hmm.
More like that. I wouldn't like to put it in open source because I believe that that's my thing of being true to Tolkien. Say, not anyone can craft Tolkien words, so we have to choose those people. It's not about property; it's about the being true to the lore. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I mean, this thing, it's amazing to me, having been an observer of the game for 25 years, many of the core principles of the game have not wavered. And the degree to which the game upholds those principles have not wavered. And so some, like, maybe some that I actually disagree with, and I think, oh, that could have changed, but just the commitment to quality descriptions, quality building, the commitment to me, there's sort of like the mystery of the game, right? Like we've been Peter and I, he and I have been statting and designing combos together for literally what, 9 years, dude?
Yeah, decade.
we
Decade.
we have a 9-year combo. You know, like I'll make stats and I'll send it to Peter, and he'll be like, "No, change this. You know, more will, less dex, or whatever." Like we've been doing that for 9 years, and so the fact that the game is crafted to the point where there's just this kind of just this depth to it, you know, that you never figure it out. No one ever figures MUME out. There's always questions. There's always mystery lurking. So the degree to which that you guys, and I'm sure you're the number one, you MANWE are the number one responsible, and the other implementers and the other high level are, you know, but the degree to which I think you guys have kept that bar or held that quality high is really, really impressive, I think. But could I ask you, are there things you regret? Like, are there decisions in the game or the game design or kind of game management that you regret, you might have done differently, or you would do differently if you had them again? Or
No. No, no. I was very had a position to impose my view on other people, and maybe they didn't like it, but that's how I crafted this game, and how other people took my ideas to follow the same line. So I think I'm quite proud of the achievement we made with MUME. My only regret is that I would like this game to be played more. If I try to interest my daughter into it, she doesn't give a fuck about the game. What? I have to travel. Look at the Zelda. We can. Yeah, it's not the same thing. It's easy. Go play a real game. Anyway, it's yeah. I'm very grateful for the new generation that the people are taking care of MUME right now, to have tried to expand it. You guys doing that right now with this podcast. You make something that is living, and that's nice. And I don't know how we could do better these days, but
well, if I could ask you one question, so here's one kind of profound lesson I have learned from the podcast is that there's sort of the PK, the player versus player side of the community, and then there's more of like the player kind of player versus environment, or XP, yeah, PVE, right?
yeah.
And I don't have a strict, like, I don't even see them really in conflict. But one interesting thing to me is, for the past 10 or 20 years, in terms of the community, right? Like on Elven Runes or on on the websites, PK has really, really dominated, right? Like I think for anyone who just observes the game, the PK world and the rivalries and the fights and the combat and some of the adversity and some of the, at times, I think, negativity has really, really dominated, and there's not been much voice for the PVE side. But then one thing, and I'm delighted about this, that I think in a small way the podcast has helped do, is just raise awareness for how many people are like, I don't want to do PK, or I'm not good at PK, I just want to enjoy and explore this world and have fun doing it and play together in group and learn and share. And there's like hundreds, just literally a couple hundred people who just have that view of the game, where they didn't have much community kind of presence or output, in years past. I'd be curious, when you started the game, was like, oh, player fighting and is Is the focus
No,
running throughout the
no,
90s?
no,
Or
no. PK came after. At the beginning was player against the environment, and I was very reluctant to add PK to the game because I feared that it would remove something from the game and more something more instant and reflex things. I was never good at PK. That's probably why. But
same here. Yeah,
You weren't there
the
in
fact that
BBT just rocking it and
yeah, yeah. I remember losing all my gear in like 12 seconds. A gear made 6 months to gather, so I
yeah,
was very pissed off.
yeah. It's over. It's
that
over quick.
experience is still going strong.
It's over
That
quick.
element is still in the
And
game.
that's
Yeah.
why I invented the shadows.
Oh, that was your idea. Okay.
Yeah, the shadows because fuck, you just been killed and you lost everything. So let's put a shadow that is harder to kill than yourself.
That's great.
But
Someone
but
clipped
yeah,
that. Manway says, "Just because fuck, man, it's just it's hard." Um, I keep going though.
I think Mike though sorry hit the nail on the head there. Like there's a bunch of us that I mean I know Peter likes to PK. I think Mike PK sometimes. I think he's more of an explorer, and I'm more of the sort of just the straight up PVE achieving type. And like MUME has so much to offer lots of people, and like the detail that is in the world. Like I think that's a lot of the reason why it's such an addictive game. It's so well designed. Like it's uh you know zones might it might take a while for new zones to open, but that's because of how meticulous people are before releasing them, just to make sure that everything is written right.
yeah, that's a joint effort now. Everyone is contributing into the game, is doing the same, has the same idea more or less about what should be the game, and I'm very grateful that others have taken over. Yes, of course, I still own the game, but it's not I'm not in charge anymore. I log on from now and then, talk to Dane or other Flora or others to chat about a few things. But I'm very happy that all I see on a news board is still in the same spirit that where we started. Yeah, I would love to have more additions. I would love to. Oh, I will play the game again tomorrow, and when I retire, probably I will play the game again.
I was talking to Mike and Peter over text I think yesterday, and I was saying like in the last year alone, I think there've been something like 65 news updates on the news board. Each one of those probably has three new changes to the game, and that's just what's made public. I mean, there's probably close to 200 changes just made in the last year. Some incremental things and some really big things. And I think this last year especially, like I've seen a lot of development, especially with the new MUME version. I was going to ask, like, what did you think of releasing since we now have MUME 9? I think 20 something like
It
20
was
years.
long due. It was long due.
Yes.
MUME 8 was like 20 years ago, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, it was, and no, I'm happy that there's some switches. I don't agree to all, to be honest, but I like where it's going. So remember, at the beginning of MUME, we were 4 implementators, and we would fight about changes. We would fight, and we go to the bar at the satellite, which is the bar of the university, and we discuss for 2 hours about we should do this or not. We should not do this. Now, seeing as a bit more smooth, and to be honest, everyone who's caring for the game has the right to change the game.
What? Oh, go ahead.
Well, you asked your question first because I did have a question, but it was about the '90s, so I don't know what to.
Go ahead.
We got a couple chat questions real quick, so we're just gonna rapid fire some of these. Finway asks, so you added shadows to the games, and now shadows are on mobs as well. Apparently, there's a Discord.
Are they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a Discord discussion, and some of them.
Well, I think it's humanoid. I think it's any humanoid in the game.
Yeah, human
is of a certain level is eligible for a shadow.
Yeah.
Which.
So the question was, I wonder if MANWE thinks there's a purpose to shadow on mobs or on other mobs.
Okay, that you trigger me onto what I really dig into. So when I did shadows, my idea was everyone has mana, and so every except trolls, even trolls, and so that's why we had shadows. So for me, Balrogs could have shadows. Gandalf could Istari could have shadows. Orcs not.
Except for now, because orcs do have shadows, right? Yeah, they do. Like Ohurk has shadows.
Oh yeah, no, of course. Every humanoid thing in the game at a certain level is eligible.
But not trees.
No, not trees.
Not
No,
trees.
I don't think Ints are.
Not the either roots that were lying west of Bree was entangled to many times.
Yeah. That's wow. Are there I know there's a lot of things in the game that are like sacred no idea, right? You know, the no idea list.
Oh yeah.
Are there
I made no idea.
Yeah. What are your what are you most some people want to listen mob rip, I mean, and by the way, just because we're asking these questions does not mean anyone on the podcast team is endorsing these ideas, right? But something like people are like, oh, can we reduce the mob rip penalty? Can we
reduce what?
The mob the death, the XP loss on death?
Nope.
There you go.
Nope.
Absolutely not.
No, this is we don't want to have people to be trolls and lose everything, but death penalty makes what the game is interesting about. You fear. You go an area where you've never been before, and you level 4, and you find a werewolf on the road to Forest, and you're dead.
I would like to ask this question. So, you mentioned that back when you first started the game in your early 20s, you had all this time and you're all these new ideas and you just pumping stuff out. If you were back in your 20s right now, and you were up at 3 o'clock in the morning coding, having fun ideas, and you came to MUME, what would be something that you would want? Like, if you had a bunch of time, a lot of energy, what would be kind of a big, drastic change you would want to implement just because you're interested in it? What would be something you'd want to change?
To be honest, I would love to see MUME 3D.
MUME what?
In 3D. I would love to see the same gameplay.
Oh, in 3D. Okay.
Yeah, expanding in or 2D perspective 2D environment. But
okay.
I would love to see what we've crafted. I would love to. Yeah, that's why I'm going to New Zealand.
Okay.
Oh. Well, I don't know if you know about that, but on I think it was our previous podcast a couple months ago, we had our two guests we had on. They actually created essentially, how would you describe it? Like an overlay.
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah,
they use the AI image generation AIs, and they kind of feed feed in the room. Yeah, but it's like one static image per room description.
It's a start, but this is why the room IDs were so big, is because this will allow them
where can I see that?
I'll send you the podcast link. We go through the whole thing, but yeah, it's very immersive. They're trying to update MUME to be more visual, also a little bit more point and click, so you can use your mouse to kind of do things.
Yeah. Send them the screenshots, because I mean they had to describe, so I don't see, so like they had to describe it to me, but it sounds like it looks incredible for what they were saying.
Here, let me if you go to the Twitch stream, I've got a.
I think your
screen. Send me all the links after this podcast.
Yeah. And another thing, so I've been playing around. I've been. With like the text generative, I'm sure everyone knows ChatGPT, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do, it's a very simple experiment. You go to a random room in Arda, and you pick a random mob, and all you do is you just say to ChatGPT, you say, "You are," and then you copy paste, like Angel, the elven blacksmith, or a hobbit baker, a female hobbit, farmer wife or something, and then you just say that, and then the next thing you say is, "You are in a room which has the following description," and then I just copy paste the room description. That's all I do. So I'm not like editorializing. I'm not like layering on my own input or anything. It's literally just copy paste the mob name and copy paste the room description, and then I ask ChatGPT. I say, "Make small talk," and they will just like post like 50 lines of fantastic little like atmospheric small talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's really, it's like, and then the crazy thing, which is like you'll say like where do I go find Bjornings, and they'll tell you, oh, the Bjornings are over the Misty Mountains, right? Because a lot of kind of general Tolkien lore is kind of known to ChatGPT, so it's pretty cool.
I had an argument with ChatGPT about Balrogs and wings, and ChatGPT said, "No, Balrogs don't have wings," and this is not artificial intelligence. Balrogs do have wings.
They do, yeah.
And on the wings team.
It seems like. Oh, go ahead.
No, go Peter, go.
I was gonna say that. So Mike and I were.
You managed to have a ChatGPT to play MUME?
No. Yeah, I'm just doing mine kind of manually, but the thing I think
it's really interesting experience actually to have an AI to play the game. Well, I'm interested into that now.
Yeah, so family mentioned in chat as well. Basically, like, what are your thoughts on how you could? So Mike and I were talking about this recently, and like how MUME kind of its state in the world right now. And I was mentioning that I think that this is like one of the most interesting times in history that you could have a MUD, because with tools like ChatGPT, which are text-based or AI-generated text-based systems, you can do a lot of really crazy, interesting stuff with them. Like, imagine you plugged in ChatGPT into one of your characters, and your mobs start talking to you using that. Or one of traditionally the hardest parts of text-based games is that you have to be very precise with your inputs. It's not put torch in the white backpack. It's got to be just put torch backpack, or you have to be very careful with what you type. And a model like ChatGPT is pretty good at figuring out what you're trying to say and doing it. What are your thoughts on how we could leverage some of that stuff? Is that ever crossed your mind? Is that interesting?
I'm struggling with ChatGPT with my work as a professor in computer science, and I'm wondering if I should allow my students to use it or not. Currently, my understanding is that they should, because it's part of their work, and when they will be in professional, they will use it with whatever means they have. So for the game, I think we're on the same level. If we have a ChatGPT that's able to play MUME, Wow, I was very, very impressed.
Have you ever used MUME as like in your in your job as a professor? Have you ever used MUME
Yeah,
like as a teaching
yeah,
tool?
yes, I did. I did more than once.
Did you
First,
force your students to play?
first the students, because the students have a okay. This is a professor. Let's Google it, and they found the Wikipedia page where that's my name. So oh, you did that game, and yes, I did. And then more later, some of the guys said, "Oh, we tried your game. It's complex."
Put it nicely.
And yeah, I've used MUME as an example for modeling. I'm in computer science in modeling and database stuff. And it's always used like, oh, imagine you have a character and it's in a room, and the room is connected to other rooms, and you want to have yes, objects on the floor and some objects that you're carrying, and you have monsters, and try to model that. And it gives sometimes some interesting output. And you know what? My one of my greatest achievement it's stupid, but I'm very proud of that. Is that when we were kicked out of the PFL, so where we started the game, we went to Norway, and then I had to the Norway host was gone, and have to find a new host for the game. And so I tried to convince my university that it was a project that could be useful to the students to host it at the university. And what the fuck is this game? And I said, oh, it's something. And somebody backed up me on the IT. Oh, this game is iconic. It's a memory of the internet. We have to host it because reasons. And I was so
Oh,
proud.
good for them. Good for
Good for
them.
them. Yeah.
And in 2016, there was a festival called Numeric Games, where I presented MUME to people in this town with giving the basic commands, and people could play, and so not geeks, anyone, and they could come, and I print up a page where everyone had a look north, east, west, attack, kill, and stuff like that, and it was very people were happy, and okay, I didn't understand why, what the fuck we would do that, but it was lovely.
Well, if I
So
could,
I was
if I
gonna
could just maybe make one, I just want to make one comment about the Chat GPT stuff before we leave it. So this is one thing I actually, I have some professional insight into this. I worked on Google Search for many years. So one thing,
You
people
you
type,
data, you're in data science?
yeah, computer science. Yeah, I worked at
Okay.
Google. But people 30 years ago in MUME days, you pretty much had to use a keyboard, and then things evolved keyboard to mouse, and then even 20 years ago, most of your internet actions started with a keyboard, and then slowly, very much accelerated by the iPhone and very much accelerated by social media, it moved to a world where the role of the keyboard is going lower and lower and lower, and you're mostly just tapping, right? And even when I was at Google, we were like, oh man, the query is going away, the query is dying. People aren't going to type in long, complex questions to us anymore. They just want to look at the screen and maybe use their thumb, like they do on TikTok and all these things. So we were kind of freaking out about that, and like, what is search? What does a search engine look like in the world where people just don't have the interest or motivation or sometimes even the skill to type in stuff. And then now in the past year, you got this explosion of Chat GPT, and not all, so everyone's typing their ass off now. Everyone's typing their ass off. People, it's a fun thing. People enjoy it, and people enjoy the novelty and creativity of it. People are asking each other and studying and thinking, how can I ask better questions of ChatGPT? So there's
I
like
do
this,
agree.
yeah, there's just this huge resurgence in keyboard driven access to the internet, specifically around crafting complicated, novel, articulated commands. Right? It's not just like, oh, you go to Google and you type in coffee and it shows you there's a Starbucks um, you know, next door, 1 block away. Like it's people are typing in much more complicated, thoughtful things now than they have at any point in the past 15 years. Uh, so I don't know. I feel like there's a really cool, as kind of the pendulum swings back towards, creative keyboard driven input. I see no reason why experiences like MUME can't latch onto that,
It's a real
align with it.
opportunity.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think many people are scared about the artificial intelligence, especially in academics. But it's not a problem. It's a tool, and then we be able to use the tool and make some assumptions if the tool is good or not. ChatGPT gives a lot of wrong answers, but it gives good ones, and that's interesting for the years to come. I think it's like a calculator. We use calculators all the time. I don't know how to do a logarithm by mind, and ChatGPT is about that. It gives you the common answer to some problem, and well, I would very be interested to see the link of how the creativity of ChatGPT could uh, have an impact on games, like what will happen on Mume, for instance.
To add to that, Finway just posted in chat a link to this blog where, yeah, they did connect ChatGPT to a non-player characters in an MMO, and
Yeah, exactly. That's how
yeah,
it would be
and
very interesting to
they
see.
had a conversation, and apparently those characters, the ChatGPT characters, like created their own quests, sending players on.
Oh, whoa.
Like, hey, can you go get this cow or whatever? And it wasn't a real quest,
I
but
bet that fake quest is more fun than half
yeah.
the quests and half the crazy shit you
Uh-oh.
do.
So I had a question, sort of about the '90s. Now, um, when you were developing MUME, you also created an organization, Fire,
Yep.
and I thought that was really interesting. Like because a lot of people that sort of they make free games, they don't tend to make companies around their free game. So like, could you sort of what was the reason for that?
Oh,
Originally.
we were students. We have absolutely no fucking money, and we want to save the game, uh, and um, and so we had to pay for hosting the game. So that's why we made this organization that allowed us to buy a computer and oh, it's incredible right now to think about it, to ship it into Norway so it could be hosted. I don't know because they would agree to host the game but not to provide the material, and so that's why we made the game. They made and we used PayPal for
Well,
it's
I remember like
you
reading at the time when you had like the new server and it's like I think it was a Dell PowerEdge something like
yeah, yeah,
that. It's
yeah.
like
It
the
was so what we have many megabytes of RAM, and it's a
it's on a truck.
everything.
It's headed to Norway.
Yeah, it was in Trondheim. Now I remember it was in Trondheim. I don't know where the fuck where is Trondheim, but it was there. It's north of Norway. Ilya, who was a narrator at that time, is she in the game, but he's a he in real life, hosted us for a while until we were kicked out again. But I can assure you something is that whatever happens to this game, I will always host. I will find a way. I'm on the game right now, and I was chatting up with Dane a second ago, and I said I was on the podcast. He asked me if the link to this podcast is roguelikeradio.com 2017-11 episode 141 mud.html. Is it what we are on right now?
The link to the podcast?
Yeah.
No, that's a different podcast. But I do remember listening to you on that podcast, and yeah.
I did. Yeah, I did. I was awful. I was completely drunk that night.
No, I loved it. I loved it.
I was not that. So can you give me the link so I can send that to Dane?
Sure. You want the live link or?
Yeah, live link.
Sure. Here, go. Here, I'll just send it on Discord real quick.
Put it on Discord.
Yeah.
I put it on the group chat with him, Alfred, and
Please strong arm Dane into being on the podcast. We invite him.
Yeah. I asked him, and he said it wasn't really his thing, but I'm hoping that we can still get maybe we can just convince him a little more.
That's Radagast? You're Radagast?
Yep, that's me.
Oh, that's not a good name.
That's not a good name. It's as Lord of the Rings as it gets.
But so we so MANWE, we do the podcast.
So HTTPS.
We do the podcast live here, and it sticks around. It's archived here, but then Peter cuts it up and puts it on YouTube.
I would be very interested to hear Dane.
We'd love to have Dane. We'd absolutely
get that guy on.
Help us convince him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's online. Wait, I'll write him.
I'll send you a link to the previous podcast too, where they did the MUME Visio, that kind of visual project. I think you'd really enjoy that. It's pretty interesting. Got two really great builders working on that project right now.
Yeah, please.
We have one more question from chat here from Odursky, who's basically saying, so Rogan has mentioned in terms of like expanding the game that there are 4 options kind of with what's next. They're trying to push either towards Erebor with Smog, Rohan with Helm's Deep, Orthanc with Saruman, or Dol Guldur with the Necromancer.
Do it again.
So Rogan had mentioned in a previous podcast that there are kind of 4 options towards which they're expanding the game right now. It's either towards Erebor with Smog, Rohan with Helm's Deep, Orthanc with Saruman, or Dol Guldur with like a version of the Necromancer. What direction would you like to see the game expand next?
Dol Guldur.
You want to see it go to a Dol Guldur, the Necromancer?
Yeah. I would love to see because the Hobbit movies were awful. But there was one thing that was cool. It was when Galadriel saved Gandalf from Dol Guldur, and I think it would be very interesting for a play. I don't think that Smog is very interesting. Rohan is interesting for the story, but you have a lot of people. And for me, the place I would like to players to explore is Minas Morgul. Minas Morgul, we don't know a lot about it. We don't know nothing about it. and but it's frightening. It's the Witch King of Agmar was there. And, yeah, it has some power. So every bit we can stretch towards Minos Mogul will be nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be pretty dope. Plus, you got Shelob right next to it too, which you could throw in there. Be kind of a 2-for-1 kind of situation.
What do you guys want to? Where would you like to explore?
We're big Moria. We love Moria. we spent so much time in Moria.
How many zones is Moria? Like 20 now?
It's huge. I don't think Moria is like a time capsule. I don't think it's been touched in 25
I think it's about
years.
about 1,400 rooms, if I remember right.
It was really, really well done. Yeah. And then there's a new Mirkwood. There's been a few different projects that have grown in Mirkwood, but in the northern Mirkwood, like the route they take in the Hobbit, like from Bjorn's home due east. There's a super zone there called Old Forest Road (OFR), which is super well done, super difficult, and I think I don't know. I mean, I think maybe some of us here in the pod share the feeling that like after you played for years and years and years, the thing that I really love is the environments that are really well crafted, evocative, and super complicated and super like super tricky, right? Just like that combination of incredibly atmospheric and also incredibly difficult, where you have to play at a high level, but there's just a lot of constant sort of rich lore and rich sort of just kind of elements to it. I just love being immersed in that. So for me, I love Moria. I love Old Forest Road. And
You know,
go ahead.
I never dared. I was in a group to go to Moria, but I never dared to go by myself.
We'll take you. Let's do it. We should live stream it, man. Get MANWE on. We'll take you.
Adventures of MANWE.
Okay, guys, it was lovely to
Thank
chat
you
about.
so much.
Thank you.
We should do that another time again.
We hope so.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I really like that you're still committed to the game. And yeah,
Thank you,
MANWE.
so much for coming on. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and make sure to bother Dane to get him on as well.
no, he doesn't. He doesn't. He said this some other time. So your task now is to have a chat with him and me, which is very interesting to have his views because he's been part of MUME since a long time.
He's like the OG grandfather.
Yeah. He is good. Okay, guys, it was lovely
Thank you,
to.
MANWE. Take
Thank
care.
you so much.
Bye-bye.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you for creating the game.
Send me
I
the
just want
links
to thank
for.
What are you saying?
See you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.